Hello, everybody, and welcome to Segue Saturday number 5. This one is going to be about sharing gifts. And no, I don't mean like you come to me and you need somebody to roust out something that's been messing with your life. No, this is all about, for some reason, gifted folks seem to be able to trade off abilities. And I know I'm only just learning this, so forgive me. There's still plenty to learn about this entire area of expertise that we haven't learned everything about, but we're apparently able to loan abilities to each other in order to be able to get things done. And so we were going to talk about some of the events that happened before a more recent one where I actually ended up helping a person with an attachment issue, and having Diane Swiger's abilities on hand, though I didn't know it, to get the job done without making the poor person that I was assisting ill, which normally occurs. So everybody unmute yourselves. Hello, Aisha. Hi, Joel. And your fever dream picture. And Sonia.
Hi.
It's not his fever picture isn't appearing on the YouTube video. It's a flower.
Oh, thank God. Okay, everybody, you're not actually seeing what we're seeing. I should take a screenshot, but I won't, because I'm pretty sure if you watch they had it on the other show the last time, because it kept coming up and I kept going every time it did. So if you guys remember last week's, that's what we're looking at today with the Joel mucus face beard thing going on. So he has a fond memory of it. The rest of us have not. So not trying to dig it in too deep, but we love you, Joel. There's no one quite like you, thank God.
Well, I have 4 clones,
so okay. So the whole thing is going to be about sharing gifts. Now, let's see, where should we start? I guess at the beginning, but I guess let's open up the floor so that we can just discuss it in general, and then we'll discuss the circumstances by which we learned that this was possible, because it's really quite interesting to me, because I'd never even thought of anything like this, and yet it should have been, when I look in retrospective, it should have been obvious.
Well, because we do it all the time.
But that's you and I. I mean, it's not like it's outside of our group.
So that's what I was saying. That's what I was just about to say. So I can understand where you wasn't thinking that, because of how we share our bond is. So it makes sense, especially since I did your attunement as well. So it makes sense that we should be able to, but it was surprised to see other people being able to do it too.
And it's also the reality is that it's not a matter of a trusting thing. It's also not I really don't even know how to qualify how it started. You and I, shoot. Okay, Joel and I have completely different personalities because we've grown up in exactly different ways, and not just because of the different colors of our skin. So don't get all racist on me. Slap yourselves. Okay, no, this is. I am a not very trusting person, but when I trust, I invest myself 150%. Joel, on the other hand, it's like a natural thing for him to move in and become a part of a place. At least, and this is my opinion. Joel's going to give you his of me and himself afterwards. Okay, because I just want to throw this in there. And he seems to slide into social situations. He fits. He's at ease, and then becomes a part of it. But I don't have that same facility. I don't do that sort of thing because I've been on the outside and beaten back constantly. So I'm a fringer, where Joel is more of he's an immerser. And I was born an extrovert. I was just emotionally wounded continuously from all of these things, including the metaphysical, that I don't extrovert as much as I probably should. Naturally speaking, I do want to. I mean, I sing, I like talking with people, but I'm not a social butterfly. I don't get into those situations. But for some reason, since like the first instant, Joel and I are like on the same, we're like, we feel like we're on the same tightrope. At least I think so. But the tightrope for us is as wide as a city block. But now I'm going to silence myself and let you give your impressions, Joel.
So I feel that that's pretty accurate. And when I was a kid, I was always kind of introverted, and I hung out with around and with the adults, my mom used to always tell me, used to always try to get me to go get away from the adults. This is adults talk. This is adult time. You need to go with your cousins. But I always had an affinity to be with the older generations. But no, I learned how to. I think that was an accurate description of our two styles. I definitely have a tendency to want to immerse into a situation. I think it's just because of how I deal with stuff and how I sense vibrations. So,
but that's doesn't, the whole point of me pointing this out is it has no bearing on how we connected, and we don't know why it happened. And it's so it's one of those mysteries. And if somebody was to come up with a really good simple explanation, I'd like to be able to throw it out there. But
one thing I like to look at it in is because I have an affinity for vibration. I have a tendency to be in the right place at that right time where I need to be. Even if bad things happen to me because of where I am, it doesn't matter. It's usually there's a reason or something I take away from it, or some sort of relationship that I've kind of gained out of that whole situation.
Okay. So any input from Aisha and Sonia?
Not really. I'm still trying to understand exactly how you share each other's abilities. As far as you say Diane gave you her ability, but you didn't know. How did it happen if you didn't know?
That's going to be the fun part at the end of the entire explanation, because we're trying to set this up so that we give all the information as to how curious we are about this, because it did, for Joel and myself, it just became yeah, shit. Yeah, just, of course. To give the best example of that, Joel and I hadn't worked together for ages, right? And then Janice needed that help with clearing out that her stepmom's house, because her stepmom's house was filled with all this negative energy and stuff like that. And so we went there at projected, and Joel didn't realize he was slowly sliding down the gullet of this thing. And then, and I said, "No, Joel, you're really sliding." He said, "I don't see that happening." I'm like, "Look through," and I said, "Look through my eyes and see it." Right? Which, okay, that sounds kind of stupid, right? To someone who's, we'd never done that before. And Joel was like, "Oh, okay. Remember, Joel?" And then what did you do? What did you say?
I was like, "Is this PG?"
We gotta stay PG. Okay.
Oh, okay.
We're trying not to drive off so we don't pull out the Hellraiser stuff. So
it was hit with an S, and and I somehow
you said come on, you gotta remember, you said take my.
I can't remember.
Said take my hand, and I remember I was 3 rooms away, and then so like take your hand. Oh, of course, take your hand, right? So I took, and we met in the middle, and he was no longer sliding down this gullet. It's like, but in those moments, it's not all. I have to sit down and write these things down, because some of these events become like, they just go. But these are those situations where we're sharing gifts, like, oh, take my hand. Okay, well, of course. And my brain just automatically accepted it like you would in a dream. And we were together.
It's funny when you say that, because I wouldn't have even thought about that. I do remember that, but it was like so natural that
right.
The answer from is just like, take my hand, because I could sense you like you was there with me. At that time, it seemed like he was like right next to me. So of course I was like, "Hey, just take my hand." And I didn't realize he was like 3 rooms away. It didn't occur to me at that time.
And that was the thing, is because you were looking through my eyes. Then I was there with you, and then it was like, "Oh, okay, no problem." It's one of those perceptual things when you're psychic that you oh wow, it's like you can see things from 3 different perspectives outside of your own head when you're doing stuff like this, and it is so. it's so hard to describe it because it's almost like tasting 5 different flavors of ice cream while you're juggling flaming hoops. And people are going, well, that sounds difficult. But you're like, but at the time, no, it wasn't. And I'm not trying to make it sound like we're badass. It's the way it worked. And you look back and go, oh, that actually was pretty interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's my best way of actually trying to paint a picture of this.
It's pretty accurate. It's so funny that you mentioned it, that because I was thinking, I was like, what did I say that was so profound? And then I was like, oh, I just reached my hand out.
and I'm like, oh yeah, take his hand. I'm like 3 rooms away. Oh, and now we're together in the same. That he wasn't down the hole. It's like, and I just want everybody to understand that the thing that he was sliding down looked like a tar-filled, swallowing gullet. The stuff was just sliding in. And we're not talking chocolate sauce. I'm talking full-fledged La Brea tar pits, smell included. Okay, this thing was swallowing stuff, and I'm like, please don't go down the nasty little, And it wasn't little. This thing was huge. And it was in the middle of this lady's bedroom or the kitchen, or I don't remember where it was. I just remember that it was just. When this lady decided she wanted to create something vulgar in order to maintain her metaphysical strength in the world, this is right up there with Sith Lord stuff. So that's the best entry level explanations of that I can give. And then there's what was it then? Then her mirror. Her mirror was aligned so that it had stuff that would regularly occur and peek out into her world and mess with her life and bring lots of darkness and her acceptance of it as well. So I said, well, we're going to have to move it. Now, she was afraid of what was going to happen. And remember that day, Joel, you were exhausted. You just came home. They'd hit you with a shift and you weren't able to be a part of the thing. And he said, yeah, what did you do?
I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. I'll send some energy. Just think about me, and I'll be there. And I think I slept so hard. I didn't even dream that day.
Yeah, but you woke up and you were in pain because because this thing did not like me realigning the mirror so that the bad things couldn't get through it, and it hurt my forearms. But Joel, I felt like all of a sudden he was behind me and covering me so that it couldn't get my upper body, and he was accepting all the injuries across his back and his upper arms. And he woke. I remember the first text he said to me, he's like, "Did you do it? Because my back feels like hell."
My joints hurt so bad that day. It was like a ongoing thing.
Well, you were lucky it happened to you in your sleep, because this thing happened to me when I was awake, and everything from my fingers to my elbows were in so much pain. I actually had to sign out. It was like, oh yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, everything's great. I'm glad we succeeded. I signed off, and I'm just weeping, hanging my arms at my side, and Loon is licking my fingers because they're just dangling there. And it's like I had meat from elbows down. That's how hard this thing had hit repeatedly. So, and that was not even conscious, and Joel was sharing his abilities. So this brings us to me asking Sonia, because she's the Wiccan in the group, and she's supposed to know about covens and how they work together. And I have no experience with this. And she might have read something that says that this kind of thing is possible, and I want to know what her input is. Sonia.
Yes. Sorry, I was just dealing with Lucy got stuck, so sorry, I didn't hear what you. All I heard was Sonia. So.
Okay, Sonia, you are being the only Wiccan in the group. Is you may have read more about working in groups and how people that if there's some way that they share their gifts, etc. Because for Joel and I, this is terra incognita. We've never really gone after this kind of thing before. We've never even looked into it. We never tried to explain it. It just simply was. And so we're asking if you have read anything, or if you know anything, or if Dubs has told you anything about how this might work, and to give us your input on it.
Well, like I say, it's more No, like I say, I work usually on my own, so I don't really.
Right,
Like
but
the whole
you don't have no knowledge of Wiccans. They're supposed to form a coven. Okay. So let's walk ourselves that far. A coven. It's not just in the movies. I know because I've actually spoken to the head Wiccan of several covens, and they tend to act more like yourself and myself, and the others are more like, as Anthony Michael Hall used to say, people who glom on. So. I'm not trying to be insulting because I don't know if that's always the case. It's just been the cases I've come in contact with, and I really don't want to be have people start messaging me like, "Oh, you SOB, you hate Wiccan." No, I don't, or else Sonia wouldn't be on my friends list. So just knock it off. She's not my token Wiccan friend.
Like I say, I don't like people, so I don't really work with people that much.
Oh my God, that just has terrible ramifications. I don't like people. Get away.
I don't.
Then there's us.
You should see me at work, and I'm one of the most antisocial people there ever is.
You know what this means, Joel? We're not really people.
No, it's exactly.
No, I have a small group of friends, but it's not like But Dubs did explain a little bit, but his is more of borrowing energy than actually gifts and stuff. But that was like having a connection with somebody in some form or shape. If it was like a mutual friendship or getting down and dirty.
Did she say down and dirty?
She said down.
Yes.
She said down and dirty. The connotations
she said down and dirty.
Oh God, here we go. Down and wow.
I just don't even know.
I tried to keep it PG.
I'm blushing right now because the down and dirty was way more suggestive than I was thinking. Yeah, but
reminds me of a Red Hot Chili Pepper album.
Yeah, give it away now. Woo.
But yeah, it's small.
This one rises to the level of the drunk dial I got from Illinois back on the first.
If we're not careful, we're gonna be in the realm of the Jenkins. Jenkins.
I'm trying to keep my foul mouth to a minimum.
Okay, fire away. We're done teasing. We know you're blushing.
Yeah, it's more to do with connections with people. That's how he explained how he was able to share his energy with River. The fuck do you call the last?
Oh, she was trying to keep it PG. Then we got the F word there. So
yeah,
we're into our territory. Okay, so
I understand what you're saying because that's originally what I thought is the fact that I was so easily able to align with Sean's vibrational rate or Sean's vibration. So I'm able to lend him energy easy, which is a lot of times how it works with energy work. But it would make sense that if I can align myself with his energy, I should be able to align his energy to be closer to what my energies are, thereby giving him the ability to use some of the facilities that he normally doesn't have access to, if that makes sense.
And then comes the fact that Trevor and I finished powering up that necklace that we sent to Diane, which would have been yet another focus to be able to maintain a connection for the later event, right? Because Trevor and I are just really good at energy work. Right. I mean, you should have seen this thing when we were juicing it up. Karen was actually leaning away in her chair going, okay, are you guys almost done yet? Because it's like sitting next to a space heater that's on high. And, and I'm like, no, we're not done yet. It's not reflecting back out yet. Oh, really? Come on. I want to watch TV. I'm like, well, there's no other place for us to do this. Stop. We're not rich. I don't have a workroom.
Oh,
it has to happen in the living room. Calm down. Sorry.
That's good.
Yeah, like I say, Dubs has explained you some sort of connection, even if that's something physical or it's the emotional connection.
or the down and dirty,
which is where the down and dirty comes in. Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
See, and that's another thing. Joel and I are so, even after 30 years, the same thing comes to our minds and stuff, and we don't even know why. Or like we'll hear a piece of music and we'll both start bopping the same way, and I'll look. It's the same crap as me asking you about the clown and the guy suddenly comes up in the car. I'm sorry, I almost got to it without laughing. Oh God, right? There was a guy who was on TV the other day who was doing the same look as you did to me after seeing the guy in the car. And I'm trying to maintain the look for Karen, right? It's just so funny. It's those moments of I don't know what we would call them. Not singularity, parallel, whatever. It was so great, right? And it was where we're just in sync, and it's just insane. I think your friends used to tell you the same things, like, why are you guys trying to do the same thing at the same time? It's like, what? And this was when we were in Idaho. It's like, yeah, he's like copying you. It's like, no, he's not even looking in this direction. It's like, well, why? It's like, we're not doing it on purpose, man. So yeah, but with us, it makes sense because we've known each other this long, and there was nothing like that we were trying to do on purpose. It just occurred.
Yeah.
And then came Diane's thing when I was asked to remove this thing from a person, a beloved person of someone who was in need of help. And I'm not naming any names, and I'm not saying where they are, and I'm not telling you any history about it. All I knew was that, okay, normally speaking, what happens is I would swoop in as quickly as I can, assess the situation, grab a hold of the thing that is supposed to be removed, and then pull it so that I can see the anchor points and then remove the anchor points. Fortunately, this thing hadn't had a chance to dig its anchors in deeper, and I was able to pull it away. And so I've got it in my left hand, and I'm rearing back like Goku to start laying in the punches to get this thing weakened so that I can send it into a quandary, because I had called Diane and she hadn't responded. There was no response. She didn't pick up. I called twice. I left her a message, and I was like, here's what I'm planning to do. And so I go out I'm doing all this away from my phone because I'm doing it away from distractions. And I get to this point where I'm about to start Super Saiyan wailing on this thing so that I can weaken it enough to send it into the quandary without it struggling too much. And instead, it all of a sudden goes slack, like somebody gave him a giant rhino-sized tranquilizer dart full of ketamine. And it's all of a sudden just hanging there, and then begins to float upwards. I'm like, what did I do? What in the hell did I do? I didn't do anything. And it starts changing colors. It becomes more and more see-through. The colors become lighter. The eye color goes from black to gray to blue to gold. And then it begins to change back into a somewhat human shape from a weird jellyfish / squid hybrid look. And is floating upwards like the disc in the movie Tron, as it's going up in to create the link in the IO tower. And I'm looking at it thinking the music almost the same from Tron, da 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 da. So what the hell's going on? And it begins to move through a disc that when I was under it, you could see it's semicircular. It's very bright white, and it reminded me of when I told Loon to move on. It's phasing through it. I moved up next to it to see it's a completely flat thing. This thing is leaving our plane at right angles to the existence of this universe. So, no experience with this before, outside of when I told Looney to move over and, to move on because I didn't want him to gasp to death. So I go back to my phone after all this is over. The lady said, sorry, I gave stuff away. The person told me that the person in question was not acting strangely, no sickness, no nothing. And so I went to the phone and picked it up, and sure enough, there was a message from Diane saying she was feeling under the weather and that she was loaning me her abilities to get this stuff done. And when I told her about it, it's like, is this what it looks like when you? She says, oh yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. And she started laughing. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know. And that was just from a casual, here's a phone message, and she'd already was working on loaning that ability to me. That was just shocking. Thoughts?
I have none. I think that was pretty thorough. I guess it's with the will and the intent of what you're gonna do or what you want. I think that's part of the whole situation. Like after you make that connection, then you can will what exactly you want the energy to do or the chi to do. So that's my only thought about it.
So that means that in theory, we can loan out some of our abilities to each other consciously in order to be able to help it within our circle of what we're doing. That means if we consciously decide that's what we're going to do, because then it will get done. Now, from my earliest experiences with maintaining protections on people, I know I can even maintain this stuff going into sleep. And Joel obviously could do that because that's what he did with the mirror. And Diane was doing it also while she was unconscious. So consciousness, it doesn't seem to be a mandatory thing in sharing. It just seems to be will, intent, and trust.
Yeah, I think that probably has a lot to do with it. I've never quite I never tried to share my abilities with anyone else, so I think trust has a lot to do with it because I'm not going to link up my vibrational rate with somebody else so they can sync with me if I don't trust them.
Yeah, and be abusive of your abilities, going, hey, you know what? You just gave me a table full of cream pies. I'm going to throw them in your face rather than you use them for the task at hand.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Sonia?
Yeah, mixed.
And the reason why I'm asking you what you think is because you've had a rough month with what you're dealing with up there, and so I'm pledging my abilities to help you from here on, so that you can access until you can create the effects without my assistance to be able to get you through this, because she's had a month-long breakout session. Do you remember those, Joel? When it was like one day after another, you get up, it's like, I feel better, then slam back down. It's like, oh, my head, and nosebleed.
Yeah, that's...
Those sucked.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing is true for you, Aisha. Whatever of my abilities will help you, especially when you're dealing with with some of the things that might pop up out there, because New Orleans is way more intense of a place than California when it comes to metaphysical stuff.
So you actually know how to transfer your ability for a moment to let me use it, or what?
Not for a moment, for as long for all time. Basically, I'm telling you that you can access any of my abilities if you just concentrate on them. In theory, because as you're able to access them more, as your skill goes up, your ability to use our abilities will increase, and that's what I learned from Joel and I, our ability to do what we were doing, as well as with Diane. And so our abilities are there to help you like a step ladder, so that you can get back to your own, and then eventually won't need us.
I would have to learn how to do that.
Since it seems to happen almost on its own, it's all a matter of trusting that it is there when you need it. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't even know that Diane had done anything. I didn't even know what Joel was going to do, and yet it simply was there. They manifest at need. Everybody's quiet because I guess this is really profound.
Well, it is. It's like, you drop that knowledge, and we're just like sitting there, and people are just like, assimilating that knowledge, just really thinking about it. It's an interesting subject, and it's one of those things that we just never really thought about. And the impact of this is pretty wide range. I mean, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So
To me, it seems like this is, if you want to use a Shadowrun kind of metaphor, there isn't anything in the sphere of like the metaphysical that seems like this. It's almost like Deckers who are trading ice programs.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. We're just basically going, here, you can have this program. I'll take that one. It's like, here's a copy of this, and off we go.
Yeah.
It's the best terminology I got. And this is actually based on Diane, who says, yeah, if you can do it, that means that at some point there's some place I should be able to look up this information in the ether and be able to sort of download it. I'm like, well, that's a way to look at it.
Yeah. That is a good way to look at it. And
I hope I'm not misquoting you, Diane. I know you're eventually going to watch this show. I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but I did try to get you on here, and I know you're a busy woman, so I'm sorry, but I wanted to make sure that I got your input, but I'm going to have to be your proxy. Sorry, go ahead, Joel.
No, I was pretty much done. I mean, I was trying to think of a different way I've seen it. I guess, like when... Let's go to anime then. I guess like when in Hunter when they were learning about how to use their talents and stuff, they told them to concentrate and put the chi in their eyes and see what was going on. Mm-hmm. And then by that way you could actually sense what the person is doing. Once you figure out what you're doing, how it feels and what your vibration is doing at that time, I'm pretty sure you could just manipulate somebody else in order to do it, or manipulate your gifts so it's more closely aligned to like a mix between the two people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that would make
it's probably the most. Yeah, that's probably the best description. Better still than the download the program idea.
Yeah.
And realistically speaking, it's also probably one of the easiest to access if you wanted to see how it's done. So if anybody wants to look it up, the series is called Hunter x Hunter, and should be all translated into English by now, because I know Funimation was working on it.
It is.
I had to watch the last 2 seasons in Japanese. Yeah, my access wasn't 100% English. I'm just grateful I can actually see Attack on Titan in English now. So yes, we're all geeks and nerds here. Suffer.
So it's kind of similar to what Naruto does in the last battle with the Ten Tails, where he shares his Nine Tails chakra with a bunch of people.
Yeah. See, there has to be a lot. There's a lot. The Magi of ancient Persia used to do it as a group, and they would increase their abilities. The Freemasons, which are a very bad copy of that, also work in groups in order to try and augment their abilities. But I never hear of them doing anything like this. I think Witches' Coven, Druid Circle, shamanic dance, that kind of thing, them working together in prayer and in strength. And I get the feeling that we're just naming and retreading old ground that almost has to already have existed. It already exists. We're just talking about it. That's all we're doing. We're not doing anything else except mentioning what already has been there, because we're now naming it and saying, we should have noted this before, but we thought it was somehow unique because Joel and I were doing it without trying. Now, I mean, at all, not even a little trying. It's like, oh yeah, it's okay. Here you go. Off you go. It's
and
done.
It's not something that comes up in conversation with gifted people. I don't think or sometimes some gifted people don't want to share some of the information, some of the knowledge, just because they're afraid of, like, it might show a weakness in them that might be taken advantage of. And I can see why that would
why that would be a concern. But yeah.
And then you have people who like to be sole practitioners who think that they're 100% sufficient. And I can tell you, there's no such thing as one person has all of the pieces of any puzzle. Not in this, because if there was trying to get my thoughts together, if there was any single person who had every single answer and every ability, that would be incredible. And in some cases, I think the only times when people could gain certain abilities was to have them exposed to it and have it added to their repertoire temporarily so that they could then learn how it's done. Sort of like going, well, I want to learn how to ride a motorcycle, but I don't own one. And it's like, well, here, you can learn on my motorcycle. When you're done, just give it back. That kind of thing. And it can be done metaphysically as well, and as well as just like in the real world. It's like, here's my motorcycle, here's my bicycle, learn how to ride it. And then when you're done, just put it back in the garage. It makes sense that you could align these linkages. And then of course there's people who are just simpatico, where they're so sympathetic to one another that you don't even have to really work it to make the alignments occur. And it just becomes as natural as breathing.
Yeah.
Now, how it happened for you and I is anybody's guess. It wasn't like we went out looking for that kind of thing. And it just sort of, it was almost like we got put into our own separate boxes, jumbled up and down like somebody was mixing a salad, and then thrown into the air. And as we came down near each other once.
Yeah. Anybody? Cue Toads.
I see, and I still need to get the crickets on the soundboard on my phone so I can cue that. Sonia went quiet. What? She's running silent, running deep. So Aisha, got any questions now?
No. I'm just gonna try and do my meditation so I can see if I can make my abilities better, so I can at least have something to allow you guys to borrow anything that I may know, because it's not going to be good for me to be always borrowing yours and have nothing to give back.
Once you've gotten by the way, about 15 minutes ago when I first said it, and I felt like a feeling like sunshine on my forehead, which I'm assuming is you. Did you feel anything, Joel? Because that's when I pledged it. It was like sunshine. I'm like, oh, Aisha's like sunshine. That's really cool.
I didn't get that. I was distracted just slightly. I just had some just popped up about I'm renewing my license for nursing.
Oh.
And I'm just slightly distracted because I was thinking about some issues that occurred to me. It's weird. Here we go. So let me just say this. So a good great family friend had a medical condition, has a medical condition, and it caused him to have a secondary condition due to the first disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And it just came up in my continued education. It's weird how that happens, and it fits what happened with this person. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. It was like, okay, well, I guess I need to find out more about this so I can use this in my practice at work, in the hospital, and I can use it for my friends and family in my personal life to help ensure that things are to help ensure that this doesn't happen to any more of my loved ones.
Aisha, you and your little girl are sunshine spots. I can feel her through you. I'm concentrating on it now. You and Taisha are like sunshine. That is really neat. Sonia, you're like a cool breeze. When I loaned you the abilities, but Aisha and Taisha are like sunlight on my forehead. That is really neat.
Okay.
It's hard to explain it, but no, one of them's one of them is giggly and bubbly, and then there's you, which is mirthful and joyous. It's something that's what I'm feeling. It's on either side of my head. So that's okay. Joel, can you? If you
right now she eat chocolate, I guess that's what's making her so sunshiny and happy. That's where you feel that happening coming from. She got a hand full of chocolate. She done dipped her hand in chocolate. Now she licking it all off her hand.
Nice.
See?
Nice.
Yeah, that's probably what you're feeling now. Because she just all happy with all that stuff all over her hand. All giggly.
Oh, and Jemima says that don't let her wipe her hands off on her blouse again after the chocolate. So
Jemima say don't wipe your hands on your shirt when you're finished with that chocolate. She said go in the bathroom and wash your hands.
Yeah, because apparently she must have done that before at the hem down at the bottom. Is it?
She ratting on you. She said when you did it a few minutes ago, you stood up here and rubbed it at the bottom of your thing. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get you. Don't worry about it. Yeah, she ratting on you. She said don't put that on your skirt no more. You probably was trying to pull your gown down. That's probably why you did that. But when you're ready to move, let me know. I'll pull your gown down for you, and you can go in the bathroom and wash your hands. Cause she ratting on you. You know how she is. She always ratting on me and your daddy. What makes you think you special? I'm gonna rat on you too.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! That's so
I'm happy
bad.
she found somebody else to rat on other than telling all my business.
I try to keep that stuff off the air, but since it was Taisha, I'm like, no, we're gonna have to make sure because she's doing the it tastes good in my head, and then she's like, oh, how am I gonna get this off my head? And she's thinking about the bottom of her dress. It's like no, and Jemima's like, don't you let her do that. She knows I'm paying attention, so she's looking at me going, don't you let her do that. Like, oh, okay, because otherwise I'm gonna get in trouble because I didn't tell Aisha. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want.
We got a really funny relationship.
I'm happy she on somebody else's business other than mine.
and you know how the kids are like, I wasn't gonna do that.
Yeah.
It's like, and Jemima was like, you wasn't gonna do that. It's like,
Yeah. That's funny. It's the best.
Having metaphysical friends to watch over things is really hilarious. On the Facebook page, I put in
the photos.
The photos.
I saw those.
I put the ones up of my grandfather. By the way, the eye issue that I have, you can see it when you take a high flash picture in a darkened room. And what happens is the back of the eyeball reflects red gold, like oh God, Vin Diesel's character. Oh God, help me. Riddick. Okay, that's it looks like that, right? And so I said, really? You mean they didn't just come up with? Of course they didn't just come up with this stuff, Sean. Right? So I took pictures of Trevor and Eric with their eyes open really wide in the dark with high flash. And then I took one of Adrian, and you can see it reflects off the front of her eye, no red gold, just the light. And I'm like, okay, so now I know the reason why they were running interference. My grandfather was doing it for Trevor because my mom would take pictures of me, and it would really hurt my eyes because of the sensitivity to light that causes the trauma-induced cataracts. And so he would put an arm in the way to stop my wife from getting a flash on him while his eyes were open. And then, of course, there was little Eric, and Trevor actually comes in and turns on all the lights, and so now the elementals move to the back of the picture. It's like, okay, we don't have to run interference for poor little Eric anymore. And they didn't tell me because, of course, I didn't ask. They don't volunteer stuff, folks. If you don't ask, they don't tell you. And so you can end up feeling damn stupid at times. Like when I asked Chunk for help, and he's like, well, why don't you just ask them? It's like, well, yeah, why don't I just ask them? I feel like a moron. I guess I could have just gone and asked. And I could have saved myself some trouble. It's like, and I'm asking him for help. It's like, well, why don't you just ask? Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I feel stupid. I just if you don't know the right questions to ask, they're not going to volunteer. They don't just volunteer. No, none of them do, right? Except Jemima. She will tell me everybody's business in that house, and I have to go. Shh, please, shh. No, don't tell me anymore. And she will, and she also talks recipes. Oh my God, does she talk recipes and cooking and this yummy food and the other? And oh my gosh, and she's got all these ideas for how to cook yams. I got 20 yams growing in my backyard waiting. When at harvest time, when those come in, I'm gonna be dialing in Jemima, going, okay, what are we gonna do with this?
Sounds about right.
Oh my gosh, it is some awful fun sometimes being able to do this kind of thing. It's like we never revisited the metaphysical road trip game. We did one, and we haven't gone back to do the second part. We really need to go back and do a second part because that would be funny. We had all those little games and things that we played. It's like we really need to go back and cover the rest of these. Because we really only just dipped a toe into the shallow end. And believe it or not, we actually have people who are going, do more of the Ghost Adventures things. And I have to officially tell folks this. Okay. It's boring. Ghost Adventures is, and this is, unless they get another episode where they're showing each other the little poop baggies because it's a poopy job and somebody got to do it. This is not that much fun anymore. They're really bad at setting up camera angles and exploring new vistas, etc. They're just rehashing old ground. The only person who's gifted that they have is Aaron, and he's rarely behind the camera. They now have Dakota doing this stuff, and Dakota is as mundane as white paper. And he's not really all that great at this kind of thing. Not trying to be horrible, just a reality. And he doesn't pick up all that much, but he is a target. And that seems to be what Zach wants. He wants somebody who can be scratched, punched, kicked, bitten, burnt, and will say yes to almost anything, including having Lady Snake throw something at him. Because it'll change. Put the air quotes on that one. And because he needs someone who's like Sonia liked to say, will be laid bare before the troubles of the world. And it's kind of boring. As funny as we can make some of these, not every one of these episodes has that kind of a gem ready to step forth. And so I'd like to do more, but I really would rather that we start looking at more educational, more, I don't know, I guess, highbrow stuff like the Dead Files or Paranormal Lockdown, because Nick really is much better at this, and the evidence he collects is also much more in depth. The machinery and the tools he works with far more reliable. Because anybody out there, if you watch this and you leave a comment, do you like the SB7 Spirit Box? And the SB7 Spirit Box, for those of you who don't know it or don't recognize the name, is the thing that goes and it keeps on sweeping through all the channels, and all you can hear is static until something talks. And they turn it up so loud, it echoes in the room, and they are shouting to be heard over it. And they say, oh, did you hear that? And the automatic response I have is, no, schmuck, because you're talking over it. And what little we could have heard is very indistinct to begin with. On the other hand, Nick doesn't work with that kind of thing. He works with a completely different set of tools. And believe it or not, there is something more advanced in the SB7 spirit box. I know there's an SB12, which doesn't make that sound like somebody is pouring sand over your roof constantly. And I would really much rather do those kinds of things, unless you're people are saying, no, we'd really like you guys to review the Ghost Adventures because you found that one entertaining. Then we could probably every now and then find a funny one to dismantle. What? Just leave your thoughts down in the low bar in the comments and let us know. I'll see what I can do. But I'm telling you right now, the last 12 episodes, I fell asleep through because they didn't do anything groundbreaking. Wasn't really that interesting. They didn't capture anything important. They really are tripping over themselves to say that what little they're finding is more important than what it really is. And if you haven't been watching, I just don't know how to explain it any better than that. It is just a snooze fest. It's a fantastic way after dinner for me to catch 20 winks.
And here we are.
And the next big thing they're going to be doing is the Graveyard of the Pacific, which is a huge swath of coastline from just about where the Goonies was shot to the over the other side of the Canadian border, where lots of ships have run aground or crashed. This has potential, and I'm not going to lie, it has potential, but it wouldn't be the first time that Zach took all this potential and just flushed it away.
Not amazing.
I hear a youngster.
So did I.
I was about to say Aisha's voice has got very high pitched.
So we're winding down here on at the Oak, so I'm going to wrap things up. If anybody's got anything more to say about the show, let's get it out there so that people can have their final comments, and we will log it out for the night.
Hey, did you get the message I just sent you?
I saw that a message came. I didn't look at it. Let's see. Take a look.
Text your mama to stop being my business.
That's not gonna happen.
She does not follow my orders. She is her own woman. She does what she wants to do.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
I have zero control over that lady. Now, where did you send the message, Joel?
Facebook Messenger.
Oh, that's why I'm looking in the wrong place.
You are looking in the wrong place.
I'm looking all over the place. I've got too many apps for doing too damn many things. Yeah, tell Jemima. Nobody tells Jemima to do anything. That woman is.
I know.
She is a strong, capable. And what's funny is her asking me to get the goat out of the house meant that she had one weakness, which is she doesn't like goats. But I had the feeling that if it was something else, she would have been broom in hand, sweeping the living hoo-ha out of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, that was she didn't like the goats. She has a thing about goats, but anything else, even a person coming in the house, she would have been swinging for the fences.
Because they're smelly, rude, and would eat anything. Thank you for that answer. Why do I get that? She sends you the messages and I get the answers for those things. Nice.
So I'll bet this time I'm talking about the thing, and she's going, let him know when he's not talking. That kind of thing.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
She's very sweet. She doesn't interrupt anything if I'm talking, but when she starts, she doesn't have to breathe, so she just keeps talking. And she has a lot to say. The woman's 400 years old. So she's always got something to say about something because she knows a lot. It's amazing to me. Right down to, I have to ask her about cook in cream? You can cook. Okay, something about cooking yams in cream? Well, that sounds interesting. In sweet cream.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
That sounds that'll make it taste even more like flipping candy. Oh my God. Okay, so all right. Ooh, my mouth's watering. Okay, so I'm gonna have to look that up. I do not know anything about cooking sweet potatoes. All I know is that my father ruined it for me until your mother, Joel, actually made it so that I'd like, it tastes so good. I'm crying, right? I mean, I was crying. It's like, don't make me eat this stuff. And your mother's like, why? Why? It's like, because my dad. Like, it's like, well, we're going to set that straight, honey. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I'm crying, this is so delicious. I hate my dad. So anyway, okay, everybody, if you have any questions, if you like our show, if you like what we do here, sorry about the monitoring towards the end, but we're just a big family here. We get lost on tangents, but like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. If you have a subject that you want us to cover, be sure to put it in the comments. Tell us this is something you want us to do. Like I was responding to the Ghost Adventures, we're going to be watching. We may not be doing, but we're going to be watching.
Or message us on the Facebook page.
Yep, Joel and I are actually linked to it, and we respond right away. And if there's if one of us doesn't answer, both of us will answer, or we'll get back to you as soon as possible. I promise. It goes straight to our phones, which are in our back pockets at all time. And let's see, like, comment, subscribe, blah blah. So how is it? See, I don't have this wrote. We also let's see. We have a Tumblr page. We have a see, there's my blog. We have my Instagram page. Follow me. I don't usually put too many things up there, but Facebook, I'm starting to put more regular stuff up, including recommendations for learning. If you have anything you want to learn about that we can help you with, if you have anything you want us to learn about so that we can help you with, or things that you just have experienced, or if you're in trouble, feel free to contact us. Or if it's something that we can't help you with, Paranormal Portal has access to more resources than just us. And we're part of a large network now that's working to make this world a safer place metaphysically for everybody. Thank you very much, everybody. And until next time, stay blessed.